3rd century AD, the Emperor Claudius was embroiled in a war that was splintering apart his empire. He needed soldiers. He expected to raise an army, but there was not much support, particularly among the married men in his empire who didn't want to leave their families and feared what might happen to them if they died. So Claudius came up with an ingenious idea. He thought, I'll just decree that young men can't marry, thinking that if they don't have families, well, then they'll be more likely to join his war. However, in the 3rd century AD, there was a growing faction amongst his empire known as Christians who viewed marriage as a sacred responsibility. There was a young priest who also saw it that way, and he went about marrying these couples secretly for years until he was finally caught and imprisoned. He became friends with his jailer's daughter, who was a young woman who was blind. Through a miraculous intervention, this young woman received her sight. On February 14th, 269, before he went to his death, this young priest wrote a note to his newfound friend and signed it from your Valentine. Now tomorrow, millions of people, billions of people around the world will celebrate Valentine's Day by sending notes or other measures of affection to those that they love. This young priest, who would become known as Saint Valentine, surely must have feared what the emperor would do to him if he was caught. But perhaps love for his fellow Christians, and helping these young couples celebrate their love through marriage, perhaps that motivated him to defy the emperor. I hope you'll excuse some biblical references, but there's a lot of wisdom in there. John, a disciple of Jesus, late in his later years, had much to say about love. He said this: "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out all fear. There is torment in fear. Therefore he that feareth is not made perfect in love." Now, fear is not always a bad thing. When walking near the edge of a cliff, fear of falling over or even of dying might keep us from walking too close to the edge. That is a good kind of fear, and it's inherited through generations, through natural selection. In fact, those who lacked that self-preservation gene didn't live long enough to pass it on. But there's also a bad kind of fear. It can be a fear that says to us that we're unlovable or we're untrustable, or might make us unwilling to love or trust other people, or might make us unwilling to stand up and give a speech. How can we differentiate between good fear and bad fear? Well, a podcast that I like to listen to has offered me some helpful suggestions. Good fear is circumstantial. If I'm driving along the road and somebody pulls into my lane, that fear goes away as soon as the situation is resolved. But bad fear hangs over us. It lingers. Good fear is protective. Bad fear is paralyzing. Good fear motivates us to do the right thing. Good fear is empowering. Bad fear is enslaving. It's this bad kind of fear that John was talking about when he said, "Perfect love casteth out all fear." Perfect love. There's a synonym for perfect love. It's also found in the Bible. My humanities teacher way back eons of time ago in high school made our whole class memorize 1 Corinthians chapter 13. I don't think that would happen in today's world. But she saw it as this incredible literary work. I won't quote the whole 1 Corinthians chapter 13 for you, but in there it describes some attributes of something called charity. Charity is a synonym for perfect love, and it says this: "Charity seeketh not her own, envieth not." Some of the attributes: envieth not, is not puffed up, charity seeketh not her own, envieth not, vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. Some other things: rejoiceth not in iniquity, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Who among us wouldn't want to be able to use these attributes to help us overcome this bad kind of fear? And who among us wouldn't want someone that we love to have these same type of attributes as they love us back. Now this leads me to the title of my speech, Xanthrophobia. Xanthrophobia is a fear of trusting or being involved in an intimate relationship, perhaps because of negative past experiences. If you have this kind of fear and it's keeping you from being fully engaged with those you love, then I've given you some keys that can help you overcome that. I talked about perfect love. I talked about charity. Let me talk about one more thing. There's something called the law of occupied space. The law of occupied space. And what it says is that two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. No matter how hard you try, you cannot get two things to occupy the same space at the same time. And that can apply to us mentally and emotionally as well. Some of my mentors taught me that fear and faith cannot coexist in the same heart at the same time. And fear and doubt cannot coexist in the same mind at the same time, because one will dispel the other. So I've given you three different keys now. Perfect love casteth out all fear, those attributes of charity, and the law of occupied space. Now, St. Valentine surely feared what the emperor would do to him if he was caught. He probably feared that he would receive harsh punishment and die. And both of those things happened to him. And yet, he's motivated billions of people around the world to share their love, and that will happen tomorrow on Valentine's Day. I hope you'll use these keys that I talked about to be able to share your love with those who are dear to you tomorrow and every day. Mr. Toastmaster.